Welcome to Filmmaking in Collaboration, a conversation about the unconventional ways in which filmmakers collaborated creating the experimental feature film Saint Anne, which you can view in this year's imagineNATIVE programming. Thank you, Warner Media, for supporting the Filmmaking in Collaboration. We are really excited to announce that imagineNATIVE is a festival partner for the Warner Media HBO Max Animations program. Applications are still open until 11:59 p.m. on October 24th. Miigwech! Thank you to our speakers for sharing their time today, and thank you to our lead Institute partner Netflix, Institute partner Crave, as well as Ontario Creates.
Hi, my name is Luisa Alvarez Restrepo, and I lead all film festival initiatives for Warner Media Access Canada. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm a Latin American woman with dark hair in a bun wearing a blue floral top. I am speaking to you from Takaranto, known as Toronto, the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples. It is also the current home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. I invite you to take a moment to think of the lands that you're currently on and its traditional keepers of generations past, present, and to come. Here at Warner Media Access Canada, we are focused on creating opportunities for underrepresented Canadian talent in the film industry in above and below the line roles. Our programming includes a director's program, a writer's program, and vocational training in areas such as animation, virtual production, and hair and makeup. Most recently, we launched a unique partnership with imagineNATIVE for our inaugural HBO Max and Warner Media Access Animated Shorts program. We are proud to support imagineNATIVE, its industry programming, and the incredible breadth of Canadian talent that is showcased. If you'd like to learn more about Warner Media Access Canada, our initiatives, and how to get involved, please follow us on our social media channels.
I'm willing to fight for those who cannot fight for themselves.
Let's celebrate our right to exist and to exist with joy.
What's empowering is seeing yourself.
We see you and you're not alone.
This is gold standard.
Yes!
My main focus now is to take action.
I went to an audition. The casting director looked at me and she was just like, "Oh, you cut your hair. I used to call you Pocahontas." I froze. That in itself is a slur, and the real story of Pocahontas is one of rape and molestation of children. So it's not a compliment. Seek more from our stories because there's so much more in the 500 plus Indigenous cultures across this country that we haven't seen in film and TV before.
Bonjour, Annie. My name is Jamie Lee Reardon. I'm from Flying Post First Nations, and I'm the industry coordinator at imagineNATIVE. I'm wearing pink earrings, a green blouse, and there's a white background behind me. I have long brown hair, fair skin, and dark brown eyes. I would like to welcome you all to our panel today on filmmaking in collaboration, and we're going to introduce you to our panelists, and we'll start with Dolorès.
I'm Dolorès Gosselin, a Métis elder from the Red River. I'm a storyteller and I do different teachings with my drum, and now I've been doing healing ceremonies with the drum. And I published one book and I'm working on a second book that will be The Spirit of the Canoe. And my books are in French, Michif, and English in the same book.
That's amazing. I'm definitely going to have to look into your book after this panel. And I'll pass it over to Charlene to do your introduction.
Bonjour, Nindinwe Magnetic. My name is Charlene Moore. I did the field sound recording on Saint Anne. I'm a filmmaker and I'm currently working on a couple of documentaries and also getting prepped with Rhayne for her next endeavor. So thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah, I'm Rhayne Vermette. I'm an artist and filmmaker and directed Saint Anne and worked with all these beautiful people here. I was raised in Notre Dame de Lourdes. My dad moved there to marry my mom. He moved there from Saint Anne, Richer area. Yeah, and I'm currently working on a new film with with Charlene and Amanda and a bunch of other fantastic beings out here in Treaty 1. That's me.
That sounds very exciting. And Bret, could you introduce yourself?
I'm Bret. I'm based in Winnipeg. My family's from Duck Bay and Camperville, heavily influenced by my family's origins and everything, all that awesome stuff. I'm an artist, sound artist. I primarily make music under my initials, BP.
And we'll pass it over to Amanda.
My name is Amanda. I am a writer, director, cinematographer, editor. I worked camera for Saint Anne. My family, I'm Soro Ojibwe and Métis from Kiskous First Nation and Duck Bay Camperville. Never met Bret before, but pretty sure we're related. So is Charlene probably. Yeah. And yeah, right now I'm working on lots of stuff. I'm doing some camera work for Charlene. I'm going to be doing more camera work for Rhayne. I'm writing my first feature right now. I won a grant for that, and a bunch of short films coming up.
Oh, that's so exciting. You might be connecting cousins here. You guys could all gather at a family reunion after COVID. That's fun. Well, it's lovely to meet you all here today. And I just want to say thank you so much for joining us for this panel. I'd love to let us know a little bit more about how you guys have worked together on your projects. If we could start with Rhayne.
I met Amanda and we started hanging out, and then her and Roger Boyer were on my case to start going to Indigenous Filmmakers Collective meetings. So I started hanging out there and then met Charlene and immediately sort of kind of like developed a friendship and kind of asked them to come on board and help out with Saint Anne. And they were sort of like, you know, pillars in the process, you know, people who I would sound off of. They were obviously there on set. And their roles extended beyond just camera, you know, like my set, we were all helping each other with numerous things. It wasn't like, you know, the sound person wasn't allowed to help with camera or anything like that. It was just, yeah, if somebody needed help, we were there helping them out. And then, yeah, met Dolorès, who's a true gift, and kind of worked with her and collaborated on Saint Anne. And, you know, Dolorès is one, you know, has the beauty of an explorative spirit, which is what I search for in collaborators. I really want people who are open to the unknown and honest and authentic, and Dolorès was all of that. So we brought her in into the family. And Bret, we've collaborated numerous times. We've had an art exhibition together last fall. We were together on a panel. When was that? That was like October, a couple of years ago, just before the pandemic, where I was pairing images with sound work that Bret had done. So there's like a really kind of nice organic relationship there with Bret in terms of collaboration, both images and sound and all of that kind of, those delicious things.
That's lovely. It sounds like the relationships that you have made and built off screen kind of lend themselves into the filmmaking process and have those benefits of like the communication and having it be kind of like your friends, you know, being able to work in that collaborative sense. I'd love to hear what it's like to be on a project driven by so many creative forces, by multiple creative forces. Has there been moments where you felt like there were any creative conflicts or extra challenges that were faced? I guess this one I'll pass over to Amanda first as a cinematographer.
So I think it goes beyond just like a bunch of creative forces. We were also, some of us were new to feature films, or at least new to being on a feature film where you would have this much input, like everything, like hanging out, spending time together, and you're in the middle of having drinks, and all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, well that would be so smart. And so it was like our whole lives became this huge collaborative event. So any of the challenges that came upon us, probably we set upon ourselves because of the fact, and Rhayne set them upon us because of the fact that we wanted to have that autonomy for, female voices. and for people within our community, instead of being like, well, this person has really great work, we should reach out across the country and go bring them in and stuff like that. So I think that's probably where it came from for the majority of the film. That's where that's how we collaborated. So any problems that we had were working out the bugs of doing stuff like this for the first time.
And Charlene, would you be able to speak to that? I loved how Amanda spoke about there being more say and having the, like on a feature set, having the ability to have the creative insight and input, and where your voice matters and it's taken into consideration in the long run. What was that like for you to work on a film in the sound department in that kind of way?
Well, Rhayne, I remember when we first started, I was like, I don't know, man. I felt like I hadn't worked on a feature film at that point, and I had done like a lot of like short things. I've like partially been in features, but not for the whole time. So it was kind of scary, but I feel like it was kind of scary for everybody because we were all jumping into something that we hadn't really jumped into before. So it was kind of like, this shared experience of like what's going to happen type of thing. But, I really appreciated being on this film because we had such a great relationship between everybody. And it really helped that, on set that it was predominantly women. And so there wasn't this like ego that we were having to fight all of the time. It wasn't like this mansplaining of each other's jobs to each other. It was more of a working together to make sure that we were getting what we needed to get. And so that would mean we'd have to get creative sometimes, and do things that other people might find wonky or like silly, but like we did what we could, and I really applaud Rhayne for making her problems her solutions all the time and finding ways to work around all of our little kinks that we had in the process. So it felt very safe and comfortable.
That's one of the best things to hear about a set, is that it felt safe and comfortable to be on. It makes my heart like, so feel nice. Could you speak to a little bit more to like how you said there was like some wonky creative ways of doing things that were maybe not how filmmaking may have been done prior, but opening up a new door into a realm of a different way to do things? I'd love to hear a little bit of that, Charlene, if you're able to.
I'll just say that, some of us, didn't have all of our own equipment. We didn't have all of the things that we needed. So we would make do by making equipment or like making stuff, in order to replace things that we didn't have access to or resources to or things like that. So I will say that we found like guerrilla style skeleton crew, take a broom, turn it into something else.
All right, so there's some real Indigenous innovation happening on the set of St. Anne. So like collaboration has so much to do with listening, learning, changing, and sharing, which are key components to that. Many attributes that contribute to growth. Have you experienced moments of growth as a filmmaker, an artist, a person that you feel was birthed from the collaborative nature in which you work? I'll pass this one off to Rhayne.
Yeah, like I can honestly and frankly say that, it totally changed and rocked my life, and I'm a completely different human being, and I think for the better because of this project. It really kind of, prior to making that film, I was an animator, and animation is a very insular, isolative way to work, which is really nice. I'm a very shy person, actually, so collaboration, making work outside of my realm of the artist studio, that was a big hill to overcome, and that was a big fear. But the impetus to make the film came out of wanting to face my fear and put myself out there and kind of have relationships with people in collaboration. So that was a huge thing, like I remember having to call somebody and be like, hey, Jim Lequette says you got a truck, and this is a total stranger. Like that was fear. That was, just calling a stranger. talking my ideas to, you know, people like Amanda and Charlene. Like, that was scary when I first sent this, you know, sending the script out to Dolorès, that was scary. But it was beautiful, because it kind of taught me that if you kind of, the right people come and the right people support and the right things happen to kind of, you know, and this project was supported by love. Like, everybody really cared for this project, and it was a weird little project, and I'm a little weird, but people trusted and believed and kind of went above and beyond, because it's like you have a job, but when you start caring for something, that's completely different. And I really think everybody really cared for this project. And yeah, and it's just, you know, friendships, relationships, like, this is family, you know, like, it's always a, you know, yeah, I don't know, it's just amazing, like, my connections, because I didn't have that before. You know, I was kind of operating quite in a lonely world here in Treaty One, making films, and now I have a richness of beings surrounding me, and yeah.
Dolorès, I'd love to hear you speak to when Rhayne sent you the script and how you felt after reading it.
First of all, I was surprised that she would ask me to be in the film, because I had never done this before. And I read the script, but she told me, this is what I want, and you say what you feel like saying. Like, so all I did really was speak from the heart and speak and just speak. I didn't have to learn lines and do all this, because I think if I had to learn lines, I would not have been natural. It would not have been natural. So when I played in the film, it was who I am. It was what I believe in, what I think, and all this. Plus, the team of women was so very nice and good to me. Because I was older, sometimes we'd film and it was cold, you know. And when we were off set, they would bring a big blanket and they would cover me with a blanket to make sure I was warm. Sometimes they would even start the truck and go sit in the truck to get warm up. And they were so good to me, like I couldn't ask for a better team, for a better way of filming. And all the ladies, like, they became friends, really.
That's so lovely to hear. Do you think that you're interested in getting into something now that you dipped your toe in it, or are you gonna come out when Rhayne calls for you?
I don't know. My philosophy now is I just live, and when people call me to do something, if I think I can do it, I will say yes. Because I'm also a storyteller, and in the Native tradition, it's the elders that would do the teachings by telling stories. And we've lost this tradition. So I'm trying as much as possible to bring it back. And if I can do it through a movie or through a video or just in my books or by telling my stories, I will do it until I get too old to do it anymore. I will give what I can before I go.
Miigwech for that, sincerely. And your screening internationally, being at the Berlinale and having such huge audiences getting to see your debut acting role is pretty exciting, I have to say.
It's true that when I watch the film, I can see my philosophy and the fact that I'm calm and I believe in spirits, and it's like the strength and the light in the movie. But not only me. I mean, the whole movie is beautiful.
It is very beautiful, but you do have a special strength and power that shines through, definitely. Bret, would you be able to speak to the collaboration, or more so the unconventional ways of collaborating that you and Rhayne do when it comes to music?
With this one especially was great because she picked, if I remember correctly, Rhayne picked like a piece of mine that I did, and she was like, I want to go with like this type of vibe. and I was all for that. So we just kind of ripped it with that that first idea was like a little like somber kind of, I don't know, it was kind of like a happy but somber type tape loop. And I wanted to like make more stuff like that. Everything that we did from then on was just great, and I had a blast making new stuff and ideas evolving and whatnot. I'm also sorry it's so dark in here. I have literally every light on. I don't know what's going on.
I was gonna say, it kind of looks like those interviews where you want to like, sorry guys, Bret wants to keep his personality a secret, so we don't get to see the face, but we could hear his voice today.
I swear it's not intentional. I don't understand.
Rhayne, I would love to. Oh, sorry, Bret.
I was just gonna add total freedom to experiment, and that's what we're doing. So.
Yeah, it's so exciting. I would love to ask the same question to you, Rhayne, about the unconventional ways in which you collaborate on sound.
Yeah, like for me, yeah, sound is so important. And, you know, I wasn't even, I was just dreaming up of a film and already kind of wondering who would do the sound. You know, that was going to be a big role. And just kind of somebody, you know, once gave me, he's like, you should check out BP. So I kind of was trying to find this BP guy online, and you know, I was whispers of Bret and kind of these performances that he was doing, and then I got busy with the film and kind of started making the film, and that kind of went on the back burner. And I remember we were at the Urban Shaman like members sale, and there was these two collage pieces that kind of refracted space. I have an architectural background. Yeah, these two kind of collages, black and white collages, that kind of refracted space, and it kind of was this moment when I really recognized things that I love to do in the artistic community that surrounds me, and it turns out those were Bret's pieces. So immediately it was like, this is my, you know, this is the person, this is that big question mark, just based on, you know, those collages. I was like, I got to meet this guy, I got to talk to him. And yeah, and then I eventually found his sound work, and it was really inspiring, you know. And I think we worked unconventionally, because as I was shooting and editing and trying to figure out the film, I had open-endedly just asked Bret to just send me loops. And so he would randomly send me these like dumps of loops and kind of these things that he was working on. And yeah, I'm so grateful for what Bret did for me by being so open with his work and sending it to me as I was still in the process, because this film is vastly different from what I've done before. And when I was getting those rushes back, I did have this sort of identity crisis where I didn't recognize myself in the images because it was so different. And it was through Bret's loops and kind of accompanying those loops with the images that I kind of was able to find myself again and find that voice. It was there, it was just vastly different, you know, it was just singing differently. So yeah, so it was kind of this nice symbiotic, inspirational, you know, synapses, neurons going off. It's really, I love collaborating with Bret. Yeah, it's the best.
So Bret did the music, and Charlene, you did the sound you worked in the sound department, correct?
Yeah, I was on the field, you know, on the set.
It was the sound department.
Charlene was the sound department. So could you tell us a little bit more about what it was like being on the field, being there on set, which, I mean, breathtaking set, wardrobe was beautiful. It just completely takes you into the time of this film and like brings you wholly into that world, which like the music and the sound play a huge part in as well. And I loved hearing from Bret and Rhayne about the music portion, and I'd love to hear more from you about the sound.
Yeah, so I remember when I had first met with Rhayne, and we were meeting in like some random room in the art space building. Like I don't remember. I just remember being in this small room. Rhayne was telling me about the project, and I remember she was saying, okay, so you know, I'm working a lot with people who this is their first time acting, and these are the things that I want to focus on, and this is the way that I want to do it. And I remember being very excited about the way that Rhayne wanted to tell this story in these little, like these intimate moments. And when we were on set, it was really funny because, you know, I had read the script and I knew what was going on, but I didn't actually know because I don't speak French. So it would be funny because, you know, Amanda and I were the only ones that didn't speak French on the set. And so, you know, when we're doing these big scenes at the table, I'd have to really pay attention to the timing of the dialogue, because I can kind of, you know, gauge the language, but because suddenly there'd be a big laugh, and, you know, Amanda and I don't know why, but I would have to, you know, think about the timing and like kind of learn a bit of French in order to be able to time my booming scenario, because I was, you know, doing it by myself, and we did have like a lot bigger sets sometimes where there's lots of characters. And so it was like, you know, trying to figure out, do a lot of problem solving in the space. And Rhayne was always very understanding of, you know, like when I was like, okay, you know, I like I think we got to do this again, you know, because of, you know, something that happened with the sound. And Rhayne was very patient and was really open to doing those kinds of things. It was very made me feel safe and comfortable because I was a little bit nervous, and so it was really nice to have that space.
It's just really great to see a continuation on Indigenous sets of care for community, care for the cast and crew, care for the land, and making sure that everybody that is involved is comfortable and safe and feeling seen. The cinematography is absolutely stunning, and I would love to have you dive into the collaboration process that took place for the cinematography. And we could start. I'll pass it over to Amanda if you'd like to dive into that.
Yeah, I'll say, so in terms of cinematography, Rhayne initially, we had done a huge run of 9 days, and she had brought in Lindsay McIntyre and Aaron, I can't remember what Aaron's last name is.
Weisgerber.
I'm not going to repeat that because I'm going to mess it up. But they came in, and I hadn't done film before, so I was just assisting, and that was fine with me. So when Charlene was talking about pressure of coming on set, I didn't have that. I was literally going to be hanging out with my friends and learning from some incredible women who came in. And so one of the big things for me is I'm a digital filmmaker. So coming into film, I was like, well, I'm not going to know how to do any of this. And then as we went along, I realized, oh, I know how to do all of this except for the film part. And so that was awesome. And so I actually had that buffer zone. And then later on, Rhayne wanted to try a different way of doing things. So we went into, and literally, I think that there was an actual conversation where she was like, let's just hang out and we'll just see what happens, and we'll see what we can do, and then it'll be less pressure, it'll be easier on us, and we'll just go slowly and we'll bring the actors in. And so then that's the way we did a good portion of the film. So that's when I moved into more of we have another cinematographer, Christiane, who does film. So I was doing a lot of like lighting and camera movement and composition and stuff like that. And so the collaboration was, here's the room, here's what we have. I remember at one point we needed some extra exposure, and I was like, whose bag is this? Because I needed to bounce a light off of something, a material with the right kind of texture to bounce into the room. And so I like dumped out, I think it was Rhayne's bag, and hooked up a light to it. So a lot of it was, don't worry, going into things, we'll figure it out when we're there, and we did. And also the idea that we're friends, like to explain, I think it started out, me and Charlene wanted to hang out with, like we knew of each other, but me and Charlene wanted to learn grant writing from Rhayne because she's a genius. And I think that we didn't do any grant writing, and we just started talking and hanging out, and then we started doing that every week. And then it just turned into a friendship where we spend a lot of time together. So yeah, and so then the collaboration is just us constantly talking about movies and constantly putting in that time and making it a fun time. So where other people are maybe going into classes with strangers, we're going into theaters with our best friends. And so a lot of this movie comes out of that friendship.
It's just so nice. I'm just like, my heart's like, oh, it's like just the sweetest story to hear behind an amazing movie. So yeah, I love it. I wanted to wrap back around and ask you that question about Rhayne, about the cinematography process and how you kind of came up with that concept to make the film in the way in which it was made, opposed to what we've been seeing for decades and decades and decades.
Yeah, so it was just, I knew I wanted to shoot on film. I was fairly proficient in using a Bolex and an Oxberry. Like that was kind of, and also for me, like it's all about the images. I take images very seriously. And I take the role of an image maker very seriously. So everything is driven by my eye. Like a lot of the scenes started with me having an idea of this image I wanted to capture, you know? So the film group has an ARRI SR3 and I wanted to use that and in order to get longer takes and kind of maybe bump up the production value in some sort of way. So I kind of got trained on it very briefly and I wasn't very kind of certain in my footing with that camera. So that's how Lindsay and Aaron came to the project, and we rented, so we had two ARRI SR3s going. It was chaotic. And it was, like Amanda said, it was so amazing. Like they were such badasses on set. And I think watching them was like, yeah, we can do this, because I think it's important to note also the ARRI SR3 at the film group, like prior to us using it, it was only white men who were using it and kind of allowed to use it. There was a lot of drama surrounding us using this camera. So we watched Lindsay and Aaron, and it would have been very lovely to have them come back. Like it was definitely because I had them there for like 10 days. We had to follow a more sort of regimented kind of way of making the film, and we had to have more of a schedule and stuff. And so for me, it was like, I kind of would like to bring them in maybe a bit more, but at the end of the day, I didn't really have that budget. We had a very, very small budget. And so that's when I kind of was like, well, maybe we do it here. And so, you know, I kind of showed Christiane how to use that. She had never used the camera. I think she had just done a one take Super 8 prior to that. And it was like, like Amanda said, it was like, let's figure it out. We shot things over again. We made mistakes, but it kind of, there was that space to explore. And sometimes those mistakes became beautiful scenes. And it's a heavy camera, so you know, the collaboration, we were physically all kind of carrying that camera and holding it and caring for it. And I think the fact that there was, you know, in the end 5 women who are the DOP and it wasn't one person, you know, kind of enhanced, and the camera became this kind of communal space that was shared along. We were all gazing through the viewfinder at all times to see the shot, and it was very intimate. So I think that for sure, like having that at the center of the project really inspired the energy and the spirit of the project. And yeah, and it's on to the next, you know, it's like that new project. How can we take it to the next thing? How can we learn, you know, and messing around with lights, and just, it's really encouraging environment. Yeah.
I really loved a lot of the shots. The way that reflection was used with different mirrors or windows was really beautiful. And you could see the care that was put into envisioning and setting and having each of those kind of go out in the way that they did. It turned out very, very, very well. I'd like to ask, in your brain before this was anything that escaped, what were you seeing, Rhayne? Like, what did you see for this film to be? And how different or similar is what you originally envisioned in the concept process to what is now the film Saint Anne?
Oh, it's vastly different. And to me, you know, that is something I accept. If I think it's boring to propose something and go and get something and it's exactly what you propose, like to me, filmmaking is about the journey. And I'm more interested in the spirit of the filmmaking and then kind of properly, how do you make a film? So it's completely different. I always write, and to me, writing and ideas is just a springboard onto the next thing. So it's, but that also is a process that is hard when you're trying to maybe perhaps bridge into the industry who likes to know everything. And, when you're kind of like, I don't know what it is. It is what it is. These are hard things for the industry to sort of grapple with. But that is the space of my creation. And like I said, like my collaborators have to be open to that, even when we were casting other actors, we had a phrase, they have to be chill. We need people who are open and don't, are very open and sharing and exploring and willing to dive into those deep, dark, muddy, murky waters. My work is very murky. And that's my sweet spot. Yeah.
I love it so much. And like, I'd love to hear from various of you, what it was like to work with actors that didn't necessarily have a script. So like, what was that portion like, having a kind of improvisation on set with the actors? I'll start with you, Charlene. As you're doing the sound, you had to be really intent on listening, even though it was in a different language than you're familiar with. What kind of vibes and like feel did you get from that?
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge doing sort of more improv scripts, but my background with doing sound is predominantly documentary. So, and in those fields, I'm generally by myself. So I'm mixing and booming at the same time. And so it wasn't necessarily completely out of my comfort zone, because in documentaries, you can try and plan, but you'll never know like what's going to happen or who's going to talk or how loud they're going to be, or you'll have multiple people talking at the same time. So I was used to being put in a situation like that. But it was scary, feeling the pressure and the importance of what we were doing, and the fear of not capturing these these moments that like you might not get back, but then, might have another chance to recreate. So it was definitely scary, but it was also like not so bad at the same time, because I had that experience, and also because we had just like this, an understanding amongst the crew that we needed to support each other, that like whatever we needed to do to get something done, like that's what needed to happen. So it wasn't like us competing against one another. It was more like, how do we get this to work, and what do we need to do to help each other to make that happen? So it was always the goal, like we always had a community goal. It wasn't necessarily like an individualistic thing.
And like, Dolorès, for you working with other actors without a script, how did that feel? Was it more so just like feeling like having a conversation that was being filmed? Because I know the role did come natural to you. What was the interacting with the other actors like without a script?
I felt safe. I felt secure, because in my mind, I would tell myself, okay, if it's not good the first time, I know she'll do it again. So, and looking at the movie, sometimes I see part of my conversation with another part. So she did a really good job of mixing what we said. And everyone on the set, every actors and actresses on the set were relaxed, I think. We were having fun, except sometimes it was cold, but it was nice. It was so nice because the atmosphere felt safe and it felt friendly. And I knew that if I made a mistake, we could do it again. And there was no, oh, you made a mistake. Oh, no. It was just, okay, we have to do it again. So that's how relaxed it was. And that's what made it fun to do. Because I knew that every actor was in the same boat. Like, we didn't have any professional actors. So everyone was the same. And we accepted everyone and everyone's miscue or whatever. It was a very beautiful and learning experience for me. And I say thank you to all the ladies on the set, because on this team, because you know, I never heard an aggressive word. I never heard someone speak harshly or not being happy. Never. It was always very calm and nice and nice. That's how it should be in the world. No judgments in saying he's better than me, she's better than me. We were all the same. We were all the same.
Yeah, that sounds really nice. It sounds like that speaks to your leadership, Rhayne, and it sounds like you created a really amazing space for people to feel comfortable and explore their creativity. I'd like to hear you speak a little bit to acting or working with actors that didn't have a script, and then also acting in the film as well, because it's a huge role. So it was very exciting to see you on screen.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was a insane decision, but it was like the only decision at the time, because we were having a hard time finding somebody, and I had found somebody who I wanted for the role, but they were moving away and I didn't have much money. So I was like, I know I'm free and available all the time, so I'll just do it. And I obviously have an interest in acting, and you know, I've acted for Charlene's film Chocolate, and I've also acted in, you know, multiple of Amanda's films. So I'm very grateful that they give me that opportunity to be directed and not play both those roles. But I think it was because it was all my family, honestly. That's something else that is like key in this, is my dad in the film. My Oncle Jane is, you know, tells the joke at the table. And for that scene, I just kind of told him the punchline, and everything else that leading to that was him. And we had no idea he was going to do that. So those were genuine laughs that were kind of coming out of us, because I had no idea what I was going to do. And those were my cousins, you know, who were at the table. So everything was very natural, because it was just, those are real laughs, those are real feelings, those are real relationships. And you know, the other people who were brought in were all kind of Métis, Franco-Manitoban, and small communities. So there was already pre-existing relationships, you know, like when I showed up to Dolorès' house to meet her, like Dolorès' partner Albert had taught my dad. So, and knew all of my dad's family. So these kind of relationships were already there. And even my cousins, you know, we were on set and they realized that they're related through their dad to Janelle Tuga, who is our art director. So on set, it was all cousins, basically, in some kind of a beautiful way. So it was amazing. You know, it's like I had a lot on my plate, producing, directing, acting, but I was surrounded by people who were really rooting for me. So it was very kind of easy to sort of step into that role and kind of, you know, take charge in whatever way I needed to, and lean heavily on everybody else. And yeah, we had Isabel around, who was really nice. And, you know, often when she was on set, that was an opportunity for her mom, Chantal, to like have a bit of a, you know, chill out, and we cared for her, you know, when she was with us, and that's how that worked. So there was that bond was there, and we shot for 2 years. So, you know, we really got to know each other over 2 years. It's like me randomly, you know, calling every few months and asking for people's time, which they gave to me, which I'm very grateful for. Yeah.
It's truly an amazing piece of art and film. So it's just great that you got to bring everybody with you on that and create that space that made it so safe and comforting and open to explore all of the different paths that you guys went down with St. Anne. It really all accumulates together into a really great story. And I know, like, reading different things about it and reading different articles about it, hearing that it's the pieces of those intimate moments that are building up what each individual viewer kind of takes from the story afterwards, that it's not like point A, point B, point C, this is what the story is about, you know. It lets you kind of build onto the story from your own experiences, and it turns it into a very personal viewing experience, I think, for the audience, as well as it was a very personal thing to make, with it being family and community and friends also tightly knit together to to produce this. It's just wonderful. I'd love to go around and hear about hear a little bit more in depth about what you guys are currently working on, and what your plans are, if you have any future projects that are just kind of percolating that you'd like to put out there into the world. I would like to start with Bret, if you'd like to share what you're currently working on.
I was hoping you wouldn't say me first, because I was sitting here thinking, what am I working on next? I have multiple things that I want to be doing. There's so many friends of mine that want to collab, and they're kind of just in like idea process right now. Like, I want to do a collaborative exhibit with my friend Teo at Urban Shaman. I'm working on an LP right now, which I hope to be released on record next year. I'm doing the tapes for the score for St. Anne. I'm so glad I didn't forget that. That's super important. Yeah, I'm working on the tapes for that. I'm working on the art for it and the layout and the J card, and I've ordered the tapes, and I'm gonna dub them all myself. Yeah, those three are the most important ones, I would say.
Very exciting. I'm going to keep my ear to the ground for those tapes. I look forward to listening to them. I mean, I will have to find a cassette player, so I might have to pop over to Value Village a couple times, but yeah,
it'll
super exciting.
It'll be digitally too.
Oh, cool. All right, I got that noted. And Amanda, what are you currently working on, or plan to be working on?
Well, at this very moment, I'm programming a series of workshops called The Gathering for NIMAC, so the National Indigenous Media Arts Coalition. That'll be happening this fall. I'm doing camera for both of these girls right now on stuff that they're working on, because I just like to hang out. And I know about camera, so they let me come on their sets. They pay me to come on their sets. Otherwise, I'd be on there just hanging out as an extra body anyways. And yeah, I make films all the time. I tell everybody I make my movies for $50 and my mom's sandwiches. I try to make about 5 films per year. I'm trying to switch over from paying to make my own films to applying for money and people paying me to make my films, which, you know, honestly, one of the big deterrents to that is because I just don't think when people pay you that it doesn't look appetizing to be on sets where they're structured like that. But knowing that, you know, being on Rhayne's set and seeing her process and how that works, I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll apply for money. I don't like being controlled. I don't like the idea of being controlled like that. So seeing the type of freedom that she had has, you know, spurred me to apply for more money for my projects. And I have lots. I write all the time. So yeah, that's my future.
That's really exciting. I look forward to seeing what you're coming up with this year and like your new projects. It's super great. And Dolorès,
I'm working on giving a course at the Université Saint-Boniface on Native Studies. But I want the course, I don't want a traditional university course. I want the course to always be given in a circle, and I'll do teachings and I'll do ceremonies, and it will be, to me, it will be more like the Native way instead of the white man's way. That's what I'm working on. And I don't want to give it online, so we'll have to see about the pandemic when I could give the course. The next thing is I'm working with Cercle Molière, which is the French theater in St. Boniface, because I wrote a play about Native women. And we don't necessarily want to put up the play, but we want to use the play as a healing instrument. We would read the play and then discuss what's happening and what we can do moving forward. So those are my 2 major projects for now.
Well, thank you so much. Those sound like really, really important works and very healing. And yeah, thank you for sharing your knowledge. And Charlene?
Right now, as Amanda mentioned, I'm making a documentary, making a couple documentaries. One is about my family. It's been a long time coming. The other one is a short documentary following the teachings that children bring. And that's been a very, don't know what's happening with that. And I've had, Rhayne and Amanda and Christiane, or Kiki as our crew likes to call her, all kind of, shooting kind of a similar type of style. So I really like, the process that we had with Rhayne. And I feel like it was very, the word has been said so many times, but it's very safe and it's very comfortable. And I feel like we've built a really nice community, and it's so nice to work within that community and just to continue growing that community. And so I'm hoping that we can continue doing that. Also, Amanda and I are part of the Winnipeg Indigenous Filmmakers Collective, and that's a group of Indigenous filmmakers in Winnipeg that meet together. And so we're looking to revamp after, when we can with COVID. So that's really exciting.
Yeah, that's so exciting. And I mean, I don't think it could be said too many times, honestly, that a production was safe and comfortable to be on. I love to see the changes that are being made. I love to see the walls that are being broken down so we could build up better, safer environments for us all to work and interact in. It's really, really great work and really important work. So I want to just genuinely thank you all for being part of that, because it's the changes like this, somebody sees oh, I could make a film and it doesn't have to be the way that making films always have been, and dipping into their creative visions and being able to just roll with it and having a space that allows that and allows, I love that they have to be chill. In order to be on the set, they have to be chill, because that would be the kind of set that I would want to be on, where we could voice our opinions and share creativity and not be a big downer, just be there to support each other and lift one another up. It's just a really, really beautiful thing to be able to do. And I'm really proud of all of you. Honestly, it's just great. Rhayne, I'd love to hear a little bit more about what you're currently working on or any future projects that you have.
Yeah, I'm in the throes of a new project. I got a bit of development money for a new feature-length film called Levers. So we're just going to start doing it, and there's no script, but we're going to figure it out as we go along. So we have a very big shoot this weekend and next weekend, and I'm just taking all the lessons I learned about my process from St. Anne and, seeing the cracks and kind of addressing those a little bit and adding new people to the mix. And yeah, I think what I'm really pursuing is this idea of a documentary of a fiction and how we come together to a fiction. So working on finding my actors and character developing and figuring out their story together, and diving again into the deep unknown. And so that's very exciting. And other than that, just supporting my peers. Been going to shoot something for Charlene, been shooting something. It's there's a lot of great energy happening in the prairies right now, I think, just prairie women, just really pushing. So I would suggest people keep an eye on what's happening in the prairies. Yeah, I've been shooting Heidi Phillips, who was one of my first mentors. I'm shooting her feature film for her. And Emily Akins from Saskatoon, she's been shooting a documentary. So I've been kind of behind the camera for her as well. Christiane, there's One Take Super 8's happening right now. There's lots of fantastic energy. So yeah, keep an eye on the prairies, everybody. There's good stuff happening.
So exciting. And I look forward to hearing more about your project that you're currently working on and eventually seeing it. I'm definitely going to be contacting you for some more conversations about your filmmaking process, because I just am so intrigued by it. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us today for this panel. And I would like to thank each and every panelist. It's been wonderful to get to virtually meet you. And I look forward to a near future when we all get to gather in person safely and enjoy everything imagineNATIVE has to offer together, in real life. So thank you for taking the time today, and yeah, we'll sign off. Thanks so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.